trying to get sober. Lord, help me get stronger.
How are you doing? We are at the 12 at 12 podcast, and we have a special guest today, Miss Mariah. And this is the podcast that's about real stories, real life, and real recovery, real redemption, and life of recovery.
That's right.
So, Mariah, please tell us a little bit about yourself to just break it in. Where you from? Go ahead. Where you from?
Okay. As he said, my name's Mariah, and I've lived in Louisville for about 12 years. Prior to that, I was in foster homes, very abusive, got adopted when I was 15. They were lifesavers. But when I was 18, I moved to Louisville, started using drugs, got introduced to meth as soon as I got here.
What was the first drug you ever tried?
Pot.
Now, do you feel? See, this is a question.
That's why I hesitated.
Do you feel like pot is a gateway drug? Do you feel like it? I know they got it medically. You got people medically prescribed it. I had a medical card when I was in Florida.
Nice.
Because I'm from Orlando, Florida.
Nice.
Just moved to Louisville a year ago. So.
Okay. Do I feel like pot is a gateway drug?
Do you feel like it?
I don't feel like pot is a gateway drug any more than I feel like caffeine is a gateway drug.
Interesting.
Yeah, you know what I mean? like you know, they say moon or mind altering substances. Caffeine does that. Tobacco does that.
Yes,
so, like, are those gateway drugs? If I could smoke pot every day, I would. You know, but due to probation, I can't do that. And well, but here's the thing. Here's what I'm concerned about, right? Because I started shooting heroin and like went from 0 to 100 very quickly. Like, I'm just concerned that, like, although I don't think pot is a gateway drug, I do think that I'll get in the mindset of, oh, I can maintain pot, so maybe I can maintain tooting a little bit of heroin here and there. And I just don't want to take that chance.
So what about with cigarettes? An addiction. Cigarettes, caffeine. Now, if you're going down the pot road or the caffeine road, you can say cigarettes, you can say vaping. Because it's all a vice at the end of the day. I think at the end of the day, with addiction, it's the personality. You know, you some people just tend to go a lot more advanced and just...
Yeah, and I think it's also like the consequences of the addiction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, when I'm shooting heroin, I'm homeless, I'm living in a tent, I'm shitting in the creek, literally, I'm in jail. It's just a vicious cycle. It's just a vicious cycle. But, like, if I vape, it's like, oh, I don't really see the immediate consequences of that. Yeah, I may, God forbid, I may get lung cancer 50 years down the road, but it's like right now I'm not out there holding a sign, please fair change. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's just the severity of the consequences of the addiction.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like caffeine.
The way it affects your life. Some of it is more advanced and more crucial to your way of existence than others.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of like I tell people, like with exercising, you know, exercising, people get addicted to that. But if you overdo it, then it's not healthy for you then.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You hurt yourself. Then you got people who, that's another show we're going to get into. And while you're at it, tap that subscribe button.
Hit like.
If you have not, hit that like, hit that share button.
Repost.
Yep, all of that good stuff. And make sure you tune in because we're going to keep the content coming at the 12 at 12 podcast. So, about God in your life, because you were talking about before that you believe in God.
Love Jesus Christ.
Love Jesus Christ. Praise God. How has that affected you in your walk with were you a believer when you started using, or how did that work with your faith and with using? Were you praying at the time like, dear God, please help me stop using, or were you just, you know what, I don't believe in God, I'm using, then you just had this experience with God and then it's like, okay, yeah, now I believe.
Okay.
How did that happen?
Let me give you a little background. Okay, so in the family that adopted me, I remember like shortly after moving in with them, becoming a foster kid, like we were going to church. We were going to church every Sunday, right? And I can't say that I like distinctly remember any experience from going to church, but I just remember going, okay? So then we stopped going, whatever. We didn't really talk about like God in my home, but like my grandparents talked about God, you know, their relationship. My grandmother was always praying. Shout out Granny. And
shout out Granny.
Love her. Okay, so then I move here, right? I start using drugs. So like I'm not really thinking about God or like thinking about a relationship with my higher power in any sense for probably like 6-7 years, right? And then it gets to a point where like I'm shooting heroin, I'm shooting meth, and like somehow I pick up a Bible. Like I don't remember like where I got this Bible from. I think here in Louisville we have like these book houses like on the side of the road. You can walk down the road and there's like a random like post with books in it, right? And so like there's a Bible in one because like I enjoy reading. So, and of course when I'm high I'm like, anyway. So I pick up a Bible and I am a Christian, but I remember it was a Jehovah's Witness Bible, and it was gray, like the cover, the covers were gray, and like the pages had like that silver shiny gray. Anyway, and so I carried that Bible around with me everywhere. I was like reading it, I was highlighting it, and I wasn't really, like I can't remember at the time like really absorbing the information, but like I was still in it, right? I was still like trying to get to know God, trying to get to know like who I was in Christ. So like I want to say like I've always had a desire to know God and like know just understand what God is to me and who, like I said, who I am in Christ, right? So funny story, fast forward, I've gotten sober, right? And I'm like talking to one of my homeboys that I used to get high with. He had gotten sober. And he's like, hey, you remember this one time we were at this person's house? And I was like, no, dude. He was like, yeah, you pulled out your purple backpack with your gray Bible. And I was like, that's real. Like, okay, we really did that because like I really remember that Bible. And there's no way if we hadn't hung out that he would know that I just had that Bible. So yeah, I've always heard of God, didn't really understand the concept, didn't really like think that I was worthy. Even like I remember like when I was in foster care in my adopted home, I even remember thinking like I'm not worthy of a creator that just like loves me unconditionally and will forgive me and like wants me to repent and wants me to do better. I never felt like I fit that, right? So then I'm getting high, reading about God. Okay. I remember I was in jail one time for a while, and like I read the Bible front to back because I was thinking I'm clear-minded, like now I can be receptive. Okay. And at that time I was reading with expectations. Okay. And like I just want to say, if you are just picking up a Bible, like don't read with expectations. Like don't do that because like you will let yourself down. So anyway, I was reading with expectations, and I remember at the end of the night.
Let me tell me, what type of expectations were you
like,
expecting?
Okay, like I'm going to understand this parable. Okay. First time reading, I'm like, I'm going to understand the parables in Matthew. Okay. Right? Okay. Or like I'm going to understand like what's being said in Jeremiah. When like at that time it was like I just wasn't mentally ready for that.
You didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, and I was just
you're kind of like agnostic, like you didn't know. Okay, you know there's a God, but you didn't know what God is. You just believe like there's a higher being, a creator, but you didn't really. You're trying to find and search deep.
Yeah, and I was also yourself. Like trying to really fit like my grandma's idea of a God for myself. So like instantly I was feeling like, okay, I should feel loved. Like I should feel like I'm redeemed and forgiven and sanctified. Like, and I wasn't even praying at this point. Like I just felt like as soon as I open this book, I will be healed. And like that wasn't it, right? I'm sitting in jail. I'm feeling really guilty about the things I've done. I don't know when I'm going to get out. I have like all these felony charges. Yeah. And so like, I'm like, as soon as I open this Bible, everything's going to be, I'm going to love waking up in jail. Life is just going to have a new meaning, right? And like, that was not the case. So, and this was a few years ago when I was in jail this time. This was a few years ago.
You've been to jail a lot?
Yes.
Doing your recovery? I mean, during your addiction time.
During my addiction, yes. I'm 30 now, and I have gone to jail from 18 to 19. I probably went to jail 3 times. I remember 2 years in a row I got locked up the same exact day in Louisville Metro, and the lady was even like, "Oh, you were just here a year ago today." I was like, "Thank you for telling me that." Yeah, I've been to jail multiple times in multiple states. Quite a few states, actually. I'm on probation right now for 2 different states. So, have I been to jail a lot? Yes.
Did you ever, so during your addiction, did you ever have what was called, people like to call it a jailhouse religion? Were you ever just getting into it? Was that kind of like when you started thinking, when you was at that low point of being inside of your cell, and you were like, you know what? Is there a better way for me? Like
I'm so glad you bring that up. I'm so glad you bring that up. Okay, so the first time when I was telling you how I was like reading, right? That was not the case. I didn't have jailhouse religion. I was literally and this is just the truth. I was literally just reading the Bible because I needed to take up time. It's a thick book. I knew it was going to be like, I was going to be reading for a minute, right?
Yeah.
I was just trying to find something to fill my time. Okay. So in that instance, no. So in 2023, I wound up in jail in the state of Wisconsin. And this time, okay, so that's the last time also I was in jail. Well, I was in Wisconsin, then I got extradited back here, right? So while I was in Wisconsin, they had these tablets, okay? And like, I'm indigent, which have you ever been to jail? You've never?
Yeah, I've been.
You have?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay,
I've
so
been to
you
jail,
know what
been to
indigent
prison.
means? What?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've been in prison. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what indigent means?
Yeah.
Okay, well, for the people that don't, indigent is like you ain't got no money. You don't have anybody on the outside like sending you anything, right?
Yeah.
So when I was in Wisconsin, I was indigent. So they had these tablets, and like the only free thing on there was you could watch these sermons from this Pastor Michael Todd out of Oklahoma. Shout out if you ever see this. Thank you. But so at this time, I have a Bible, right? They have like a lady come in like every other Monday for like little Bible study, right? So I got a Bible from her, and I was watching these sermons. So every day I was like reading scripture, I was taking notes, I was like watching these sermons. So like I would say yes, at that time, like I had jailhouse religion. And it's really interesting because it's like, it taught me about how like being obedient and staying in a line with God's will like requires a lot of discipline.
Yeah.
Like I was in Wisconsin, I was like doing all of the things, like stay out of trouble. And like, not to brag or boast, but like I used to be like really violent, right? For like no reason. I was really aggressive. So I've gotten into a lot of fights. Like when I'm in jail, I'm like every single time, other than this time in Wisconsin, I'm always tased. I'm always pepper sprayed. Like I'm always like secluded from the rest of the group. I'm in the hole. I'm fighting, right? So I'm like in the Word, taking notes, like starting to be receptive, starting to like understand how to treat other people, starting to understand like what's expected of me as a Christian, right? So I was only in there for 4 months, okay? Then I got extradited back to Kentucky. As soon as I get to Kentucky, I'm fighting again. I'm being pepper sprayed. I'm being moved dorms, like, and it just like one night I was laying in my rack in Metro, and I was like, how did I go so quickly from like praying for others, like respecting the guards, because like I can have a slick mouth, you know what I mean? I can be really disrespectful. So I was just like I just got in a fight, moved dorms, whatever. And I'm laying in my rack and I'm thinking, how in Wisconsin was I in one state of mind? And now all of a sudden I come here and like instantly it's just like something completely different. And so like that's really when I learned, like if I don't stay aligned with like what I'm trying to do, how quickly I will be tempted by the devil. And because of my fleshly desires, how quickly I will give into those. So yeah, I did have a jailhouse religion, you know, but like also that time when I was in Wisconsin, like that was the first time like I'd read scripture and like I felt something, like I felt the Holy Spirit. Like that was the first time that I had like ever really felt convicted in my heart and in my spirit. Like, don't get me wrong, like I remember being in the madness and I was like, I know this is wrong and I know that I shouldn't do that. And I had that mental thought, but this was the first time like I emotionally was like, okay, I know I'm doing something wrong. Or, okay, I know I need to be behaving differently. So then when I had like...
You had that conviction.
Yeah.
You had a conviction in your heart that...
Yeah.
That basically God was showing you, okay, showing you who you are into your face.
Yeah.
You never really just looked at yourself, but now he's putting it right in your face. This is you. And then you realize, man, how bad of a person I've been.
Yeah.
You know, and that conviction came in of all the stuff you did.
Yeah.
How bad it was.
Yeah, and before this time in Wisconsin, right, and like I'm really, really seeing my behavior, right? Before this, it was always somebody else. It was always my circumstances. It was always my upbringing. It was always my drug dealer. It was always probation. It was always somebody else, right? And then I get to Wisconsin, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, I've been treating people dead wrong. Now, and not only that, but like, I've been treating myself so wrong, because for so long, like, I didn't even have the mental conception of like I was harming myself.
Yeah.
I didn't even like, I was like, yeah, I know I'm shooting heroin. Like, yeah, I know I'm speedballing a bunch of dope. Yeah, I know I'm like doing other people dead wrong, but like, I never really understood like the toll it took on my own spirit, you know? So then I get to Kentucky and I'm still wilding out. I'm back to being just in my old behaviors, right? And I remember, I had this, okay, so I was in a dorm. So have you been to Metro?
Nah, I never been locked up here.
Okay, so Metro's dorm, it's not cells. Okay, so when I was in Wisconsin, it was 2-person cells. So like we had a group room and then it was 2-person cells. So like that's why I spent so much of my time like in my cell, because I could get away from everybody. When I came back to Metro, it's a dorm, right? So it's like 2 people racks, okay? Probably like 5 down a wall, 2 people racks. So I'm on a back wall on the bottom, and there's this chick, and she's Muslim, right? And so like every day she like lays her little towel down, she gets down and she does her prayers. And so like that was the first time that I was in Metro that I was convicted, because it was like, if this chick can get down here and worship her higher power, like what's my excuse? What's stopping me? Because when I was in Wisconsin, I would get down on my knees, I would pray every day and every night. I'd sit at my little table, I'd do my little Bible studies. But as soon as I got to Metro, it was like fear of judgment, fear of people like belittling me, fear of people rejecting me. And so at this point, like I wasn't, my faith was shaky, right? So then I saw this other chick get down and she's worshiping her higher power or whatever. And I'm like, Mariah, you have absolutely no excuse. Like if you say you believe in something, right? Because on the streets, like I prided myself of like, and I'm not judging anybody that did this, but this is just my truth. I prided myself on never selling my body for drugs. Now, don't get me wrong. Like I sold other people for drugs. I made that interaction, and I prided myself on like never selling bad drugs, never like really stealing from people. Like if I'm going to steal from somebody, I'm going to go steal from a store. I'm going to steal from corporate, right? So I was just sitting there. I was looking at this girl, and I was like, you know what? Like you stood 10 toes down for your beliefs on the street, but like you say you believe in God and you're afraid to pray. So like from that day on, like I started praying. I pulled my Bible out because they let me, Metro let me keep my Bible from Wisconsin. So I started pulling my Bible out. I started praying. And then I remember like this chick came in and she was like detoxing so hard. And like anytime I've ever detoxed, it's been in jail, right? So how was it with the physical, with the detoxing while you was in jail? How did they treat you? How did the guards deal with that situation while you were going through it? The physical things that you were going through. Okay, so I've detoxed in jail a lot, right? Okay. Like I've never like been one of those people that like went to jail and got out the next day. Like that is not my story, right? So, and I've always gone into jail high. So anytime I've detoxed in Metro, and like it's to the point, it's so bad that like I'm literally like pooping on myself, not like a full-blown poop, but like I poop on myself. I need new pants. You know what I mean? So, and it was only that bad once. Okay. So like every other time, I remember one time I was in Metro and I was in what they called like the recovery dorm. It was like the program dorm, but like after you've been in detox for 2 days, you go to this, you're still detoxing, but you go to this program dorm. And so I'm one of those like really annoying detoxers. Like you don't want to be around me, you know? So it's probably like day 3 and I can't sleep. And I'm like literally going, like making that noise like all day, all night. Right. So it got to the point where the program people kicked me out of the dorm because like they had to be up at 8 in the morning to do their program. And I'm like literally squealing like a pig over here nonstop. So the guards weren't as bad as like the other women, you know, like, cause people are ruthless. Yeah. And if you've never done drugs or like really been addicted to drugs, you don't really understand like how just tormenting the detox is. So like, you know, there'd be maybe one girl like trying to help me while like there's a bunch of other girls like, oh, this little low down bum junkie just like talking bad, you know, because they've never been there, so they don't really understand. So all they can see is like, I'm a junkie. And don't get me wrong, like I was, right? But like the lack of compassion in jail, because like people want to go home. They don't want to smell you. They don't want to see you, you know? They don't want you asking, hey, can I get a noodle when you're broke? You know, so detoxing sucked. When I went to Wisconsin, I was detoxing. Well, let me just like back this story up. So when I go to Wisconsin, okay, I'm going with a good friend who is also my drug dealer. Okay, and like keep in mind, I'm on probation for the state of Kentucky already, so I shouldn't have never even left the state, right? But my buddy's like, hey, I got to go to Wisconsin. I was like, absolutely not. Like, I'm not going to be without dope for that long. And he was like, well, why don't you just come with me? I was like, okay, you know.
I was like, hey, this ride out.
I'm gone. Yeah, don't even think about it. So on the way there, and I'm driving, even though I'm not licensed, and I was so high. But anyway, on the way there, so I've been shooting heroin and meth for so long that like it's very hard for me to find a vein at this point. So I remember we like stopped along the way. We stopped at like this little well, first we had to go through Indiana, right? And like I grew up in Indiana. So when we get to Maryland,
so you was on probation, just riding through multiple states,
just doing my thing with no regard.
Don't even care.
Don't care. Because I just was like, it doesn't even matter. Like, if I go to jail, it doesn't even matter. Riding through Indiana, we get to Maryville, okay? And, like, I'd gone to Maryville numerous times. Like, that's where my family, like, went and did grocery shopping. So, anyway, I'm like, let's stop at Walmart. Like, let me get a couple things, right? And, like, I'm broke. So, like, my buddy knows I'm going in here to rob him. So, anyway, I get a couple different outfits.
Hold on. You know you're going in there to rob.
Yeah. Like, so, he just stays in the car. He's like, I'm not even going to go in there and fool around with you. Like, if you come back out, great. If you don't, I'm continuing on with the mission.
Out.
Yeah.
I'm out.
So I go in there, rob them, right? Just for like a couple outfits. Anyway. So then I'm like, oh, I got this new outfit. Like, I got to go over to Shoe Carnival and like get some new shoes, right? So anyway, okay. So switch out my outfit, put a new outfit on, and it was like a sports bra with like some leggings. Okay, because like at this point, like I'm shooting in my neck, I'm shooting like in my chest. Like that's the only place I'm gonna find a vein. Like I've blown out my legs, I've blown out everything, I've blown out my feet. So,
dang, how you found veins in your chest?
Well, like, I'm not being any type of way, but, like, I'm white.
Okay. See, there it goes, folks. There it goes. Truth comes out. Truth comes out. She's white. So, like, I did not know that.
So you can see my veins. Yeah, so it's easier to see my veins. Especially because, like, I'm very pale. So, like, when the sun shines, like, it's really easy to see a vein. So, anyway, we get back in the car. We're going. I asked my buddy, like, hey, have you talked to dude? Like, cause like there's like no communication going on. Like we've been driving for like 4 hours. Like he's not on his phone. So I'm like, have you even talked to dude? Like, what's up? We're driving like 8 hours. So like, I want to make sure we're still straight. So he's like, oh yeah, like I tried to call him when you were in the store and he didn't answer. And I'm like, okay. So at this point, like I'm skeptical. Like we're driving hours to bring you like a good quantity of drugs, right? So we go for like another hour and a half. I'm like, hey, have you talked to dude? He's like, no. And like, I respect this person I'm with. So at this point, he's like, these are my people, like, don't even sweat it. So I'm just thinking, like, okay, if the roles were reversed, if he kept asking me about my people, like, I'd feel a little disrespected. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right, I trust him. He says, we're good. So it's to the point where the sun is shining straight through the window on my whole body. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to take my pants off. Right? So I'm just driving in a sports bra and my underwear, hoping to God I'm going to see a vein. Okay? We finally get to dude's place. There's still no communication. So in my brain, I'm like, something's up. Either A, he's OD'd, Buddy's OD'd, like waiting on us. 2, like something's happened. Or 3, I hadn't really thought of the police because like that wasn't really in my mind, which is crazy because like the amount of drugs we were taking, like that should have been in my mind. Yeah. But I was just so delusional and like in a state of like absolute selfishness, because like at this point I'm thinking like as soon as we get there, like we're gonna be so high. I'm gonna be so high for days. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna have to struggle. Anyway, as soon as we pull into this dude's driveway, 4 cops pull in behind me.
Damn, that was a wrap.
So the police officers come up. I'm in my bra and my underwear with a guy who's like, how old am I? I don't know, maybe 12 years older than me. So the first thing they asked me was like, are you safe? And I'm like, yeah. Okay, so like, I'm just picturing it from their view, like, what is this young chick doing in her bra and her underwear with this dude over here who's fully dressed? Like, what? Instantly, that's gonna. If I'm a cop, instantly that's gonna throw me off.
You done kidnapped. You done been kidnapped or something like that, right?
Yeah. So, you know, I'm like, they pull me out. And, like, keep in mind, like, I'm on probation.
Yeah.
In another state. Right? So, they're like, you know, can I have your name? And I was like, so I gave him my name. And the officer comes back. He's like, okay, well, I have to take you to jail. He was like, you have a warrant.
Damn.
So, like I said, like, I was on probation.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, obviously, I'd, like, skip probation.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So, he's like, I got to take you to jail. I'm like, okay, well, you know, can I at least put my pants on? He was like, yeah, sure, whatever. So, I know there's drugs in the car, obviously. But, like, dude failed to mention to me, we had 156 grams of meth, 59 grams of fentanyl. He didn't tell me about the fentanyl, which, like, thank God, because, like, I probably would have killed this driving. Because, like, if I knew there was fentanyl in the car, like, I definitely would have been doing it. Mm-hmm. There would have been no stopping me. And then we had, like, a few grams of heroin, too. Dang. So, like, in the state of Wisconsin, like, if you have more than one drug, like, you're already hit. If you have fentanyl, like, you're taxed.
Yeah.
So, like, my buddy is, like, right now, either, you know, he's my co-defendant, so, like, I can't really communicate with him or, like, you know, look up too much information or whatever. But, like, last I knew, he was in a federal holdover. So, like, this happened, like, almost 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. So, like, but what I want to say is, like, Buddy's a stand-up character, because there's a lot of people that I've been around that would easily have been like, oh, those drugs weren't mine. They're hers, because I was driving. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people that would have just pushed it off on me. He took possession of all the drugs, right? But, like, I was one of those tweakers that, like, wrote my name on everything, because I figured, like, if you stole it, I'm going to be able to identify it, because now I've wrote my name on it, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, my bag of needles had my name on it. My purse had my name on it. Like, my little container with, like, my cottons and my cookers, like, to suck it up, like, that had my name on it. All of the paraphernalias had my name on it, right? Mm-hmm. So, we also had a meth pipe that, like, obviously had meth in it, you know? And my phone, okay, so, like, at this point, like, my drug addiction had gotten so bad that, like, I can't shoot meth now. Because, like, my veins are so blown that even if I pull back blood and shoot, like, it's burning. It's burning everywhere. So, like, I'm doing hot rails off my phone. So, like, my phone, like, the front of my phone was, like, covered in meth. Because I'm, like, breaking it down, like, doing hot rails on, like, while we're driving. And my phone case had my name on it. Like,
okay.
So, anyway, so I took possession of, like, all the needles. Anything that he didn't take possession of, I took possession of, right? So, he's either in a holdover right now or in federal. I'm not sure.
So he didn't get sentenced yet?
I don't know, because he was in the federal holdover. Like, I looked him up because, like, I'm still keeping tabs on him. Even if I can't talk to him, like, that's my friend. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's my friend.
Yeah.
So he was in a federal holdover here. Like, they extradited him back from Wisconsin. But, like, I looked him up, like, maybe a month ago, and he wasn't there anymore. So, like, I don't know if he's been sentenced or, like, if they've just moved him, but I couldn't find him.
Okay.
But so I got really lucky. But so they gave me 3 months time served, 90 days time served. I think I did like 110 in the jail there. Mm-hmm. And 2 years probation. Mm-hmm. So they told me, like, if I violate once, like, obviously they allowed me to do an interstate compact to come back here because I was still on probation here. Yeah. So they're like, if you violate once, like, you have a 2-year state imposed sentence in prison. And I was like, I'm not going to prison. Yeah. I've never been to prison. I'm not trying to go to prison. And here's why, because, like, I will adapt in the worst way, you know? And so, like, 2 years will turn into God only knows how many for stupid stuff. Because I'm petty. I get involved in some petty stuff, right? Yeah. And so it's really hard for me to, like, stay focused in an environment like that, especially, like, if it's dorm. So this is, like, when all of the Wisconsin things, like, started. Like, I started getting my Bible, all of that. And so, like, I remember thinking when I was in Wisconsin, like, why did this happen? Like, what, like, really, why did this happen? Right? Because I don't have confirmation. Like, if dude set us up, like, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Because we found out on our way to him, he was, like, dope sick, really impatient. So he was going to the town over to get some drugs. He got pulled over. And he had a warrant, like he was supposed to be in Kentucky.
Oh, so he basically turned into an informant. That's what happened.
I mean, like, I don't have confirmation, but, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you're pretty sure.
Like, he went to jail, and then all of a sudden, as soon as we pull in his driveway, like, we're arrested.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, why did this happen? Like, dude didn't have to say nothing.
Yeah.
He didn't have to say nothing. But anyway, it was like that, and I had, like, that epiphany, like, that was God.
Yeah.
Like, that was God saving your life. Because had I made it in that house with all that fentanyl, and I was talking to Buddy on the way, I was like, did you bring any Narcan? He was like, no. Like, and, like, he didn't do heroin. He was like, why would I bring Narcan? I'm like, because I'm with you. Like, and he kept Narcan, but...
If that situation wouldn't have happened, you feel like you would have been dead.
For sure.
So you felt like God intervened and like, you know what? I'm about to take you away from this environment that you're in right now, and then seclude you to a point that I could speak to you and just let you know, listen, man, there's a better way. Let me open up some doors for you before basically your last warning.
Yeah. So because like anytime I got locked up in Louisville, like I've had a lot of charges, right? But none of them were like, and I've been extradited to other states before, but none of my charges like had severe consequences. Like, yeah, I was in jail, but like at no point were they like, we're going to send you to prison if you screw up. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, do a few little months, whatever. So, and I was thinking like, when I was in Wisconsin, I was like, why did this happen in Wisconsin? Like, I've never got stopped in Kentucky with all these drugs. Like, you know what I mean? And like, it really hit me. Like, I needed to be set down around people I didn't know so I could focus on like what was important, which at this time, like God was really showing himself to me.
So your stay in the Wisconsin jail was less comfortable than the jail that you was at because you're in a whole different place that you're not used to.
Oh, yeah.
Around people you don't know, so you're really like, it's only me here.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna run across Jane or whoever I know from the street and be like, hey, we're buddies and we know each other. You're like, I'm in the middle of a state in a place that I don't know anybody.
Yeah, like literally as soon as I got out of the car in Wisconsin, like I'm going to jail. Like I didn't meet a soul. So it's like, even when I'm in Louisville, even if like I don't know you, I probably know somebody you know.
Yeah.
So like you call them, you get confirmation, whatever, whoop, whoop, whoop. Okay, they're going to help me out with some shampoo. But like in Wisconsin, it was like nobody was giving me nothing.
Yeah.
Except for there's this one chick. Anyway, Sheila. Freaking Sheila. Sheila was like this older woman, like just rough and rugged. And like Sheila looked out. Like, don't get me wrong, Sheila looked out. But like even in Kentucky's like the guard at this point the guards know me. You know what I mean? So, hey, can I get an extra tray? Oh yeah, if we got extras, we'll bring you one. They're throwing me an extra tray. But like in Wisconsin, it's like I don't know anybody. So like when somebody would be like, hey, you know, I'm leaving, do you need a little bit of shampoo? Like, I was much more grateful for, like, the little bit of, like, help or blessings, like, I did get in Wisconsin. But in Louisville, it's like, I know you know me. So I almost felt entitled to, like, you're going to look out. You're going to look out for me. Like, I've looked out for you. I've looked out for your family. Like, I've helped you out. Da-da-da-da-da. So it was like, and in every dorm in Louisville, like, I know somebody. So somebody's going to look out.
Yeah.
Period. But in Wisconsin, it was like, I really had to like focus on God. I really had to focus on God. And then like the more that I was doing that, and it's crazy. I feel like the more that I focus on God, like, it's not crazy. It just is what it is. The more that I focus on God, like the more blessings I receive. Or maybe not the more, but the more I'm aware of like, wow, this is a blessing. Having this interaction with you right now is a blessing. Like,
so before you had that realizement, like, okay, listen, this is God working in my life. It's not just me here by myself. You know what I'm saying? I know who I believe in now.
Yeah.
So now you're like, okay, he shows you who you are. He shows you the bad part of you, and then you start realizing, you know, you start taking accountability for, you know what? I'm not blaming my probation officer. I'm not blaming my circumstances. It was me. It's all me. And then you start realizing, you know what? This is a blessing here. This is a blessing here. Even the small things, you know, even when you're going through hard times or whatever you're going through, you realize, you know what? It's a blessing to wake up. It's a blessing to be able to get this. It's a blessing to do that. You know, that's a very important thing because selfishness makes you blind to a lot of blessings. You know, because you're so selfish. You want this. You want that. You want this. You're not even care. You don't even care about the things that you might be provided with that, or the doors that's open with, you're taking everything for granted when you're going in. You're taking drugs, you're getting high, you're getting drunk, shooting up, whatever you're doing, whatever your drug of choice is. Ultimately, it's just all selfishness because it's all about me, I. And you know, it breaks families apart and it separates you from God, honestly, you know. So after your whole experience with being locked up plenty of times, going to jail plenty of times, discovering God, you know, realizing who you are, realizing the way you're gonna move forward. What happened after you were placed on probation and the moves that happened after that leading you up to this point right now? And where are you at now in the step in recovery and how are you moving forward now?
Okay. So I get out of jail, right? So anytime I've been out of jail or went to jail before, like I was homeless. Okay. So like they couldn't release me on HIP, the bracelet. Because, like, I obviously didn't have anywhere to release you.
And what's the bracelet?
Home incarceration plan. The ankle monitor. The ankle monitor, where they can track where you're at. Okay, where you have to, like, go in and tell them I'm going to the grocery store, and they'll put it, so, like...
So house arrest?
Yes, house arrest, yeah. So this time I'm extradited back to Kentucky, whatever.
So that's how you got here today?
Yes. So... At this point, and almost every time I've been to jail, like it was for some form of paraphernalia, drug possession, dangerous drugs, something along the lines of that. Okay, like I have like an auto theft charge, like I've got like shoplifting charges, but like the majority of my charges are drugs, right?
Yeah.
So I've never been offered treatment. Okay, so this time, and I don't know like if Wisconsin like sent paperwork to tell Kentucky to like offer me. I don't know how that worked, but it's like 6 p.m. one day, and they're like, COs come, they're like, hey, you've got somebody here to see you. So I'm thinking, like, it's too late for a public defender to come see me, so, like, anyway, so I'm like, okay, whatever. So I go, and it's, like, the jail's caseworker, and she's like, we're gonna offer you treatment. I was like, okay, great. And at this point, I'm just thinking, like, I haven't had the thought of like I'm not going to use drugs anymore. Like that was at any point in jail, like even with all these drug charges, like I didn't have the thought like, oh, I'm done with drugs, right? So she's like, oh, we're going to offer you HIP to treatment. So I'm just thinking like, okay, whatever to get me out of here, and I'll just cut the bracelet off, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. So she offers me 2 places, and I swear this was God talking through me, but she offers me 2 places, and I say, which one's the longer program? So she says one's like 30 days, one's like 6 to 9 months. So I'm like, give me the longer one. Because like at this point, like been in jail 6 to 7 months, like I know I'm a drug addict. Like I know I'm a drug addict. Like, and I know I have a problem. Like I know at this point, like the way I've been living, I know I have a problem. But I hadn't really conceived the thought of like, I'm willing to change. It was just like, yeah, I know what I am, right? So she said, I tell her the longer program. She's like, okay, cool. Couple days go by, I go to court, they release me to a program. So I go to this place called Sherry's House of Hope, right here in Louisville, and I remember I show up, and me and the cop are knocking on the front door, and I'm in like a light gray sweater and light gray sweats, like just look like I just came out of jail, which I did, but it's like fresh out, you know what I mean? Like you know where I just came from. So anyway, like right at that time, the peer supporter, like, so it's a house, okay? So they have multiple houses, but it's a house. So peer supporter pulling up, they had like just come back from a meeting, and one of the peers is like, you know where you just came from, you know? And anytime I wore like, because I kept the outfit. Yeah. It was cute. I don't care. I love me some sweats. I kept the outfit.
So you had a fly sweatsuit.
Yeah, you know, so anyway, she always joked on me for that. She's like, you don't have to live like that. But anyway, so something about like the group of women there, the peers there, like the first like few months, I'm like white knuckling it. You know what I mean? Like I go outside and like I hear like somebody drive by with some bass, and they're like, you know, I skateboard. So like seeing somebody like ride by on a skateboard, it's like, oh man, I wanna get high. You know what I mean? Like I miss that lifestyle because I'm so addicted to the chaos, because I don't really yet understand what peace means or like how fulfilling it is to have that, right? So I'm still clinging clinging on to like that lifestyle. So, and thank God for the HIP bracelet, because like had I been able to just like leave,
You would have bucked.
man, I wouldn't have came back.
Yeah.
First chance I got to leave, I would have gone and get high. So it's the first like 3 months, I'm like literally every day in class, I'm like vocally like, why do we have to do this? Like, why can't I just go lay down? Like,
Oh, you was bucking.
oh my God, I didn't
Yeah,
care,
you
right?
wild.
But thankfully, like the peers that I had, like they knew how to handle me. They were like one of my peers was like, shut up, right? And like, I just want to say, like, I'm so thankful for the grace they showed me, because they could have kicked me out numerous times. And upon like me completing the program, we counted how many papers I wrote in the time I was there, and I've wrote more than any other client ever. Like, I was always writing papers, right? Because they saw the potential in me.
Oh, you like to write?
That's what they thought, but they saw the potential in me, so they didn't want to kick me out. You know, I wasn't doing anything blatantly disrespectful. I wasn't like fighting anybody, stealing. I was just real mouthy. I was just real mouthy, real slick, right? So at this point, soon after, probably like 4 months into it, I'm like going to church, because it's like, okay, if I already see the change in me that like at this time I think like I've done by myself, right? Like my heart is starting to soften, like I'm starting to be more empathetic to people, like I'm starting to like actually care what's going on with you.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, and of course like at this time I'm still super selfish. So I'm thinking like, oh, this is just me, right?
Yeah.
I'm making all these changes, which like, don't get me wrong. I put some action. I definitely put action in behind the work, but God is definitely there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, let me start going to church, right? So I started going to church, and just when I started going, the church was in this little coffee shop called Cup of Joy, and it was packed. I mean, like, it was packed, right? Anyway, over a couple months, like, we have a church now. We go to church, an actual church, right? But like during this time, like my pastor is like an ex-junkie, like he's redeemed and recovered. Like the first lady, my pastor's wife, like was a severe alcoholic, like she's sober now. So just like he would minister and he would preach the message, but it was in a way that like one wasn't like hellfire and brimstone, right? But it's more about like change, like what God says, obviously, you know. But so I really started to like conceive the thought of like, oh my gosh, like, look at what God has done for me, right? Yeah. Because at this point, I'm just thinking like, oh, it's me. I've made the changes. I've decided to stay, right? But like, the seed is planted of like, God is doing these things. Yeah. Because like, I am worthy. Because I am chosen and because I am enough. So once I started to like grapple with that idea, it was like, if God has saved me from the gates of hell, I mean, I've OD'd countless times. If he has saved me from the gates of hell, then why am I not capable of completing this program? Then why am I not capable of getting a job? Like if he has done, in my conception, for me, what is the hardest thing to have done for me, which is save me from addiction, why can't I get a job?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like, I remember when I was getting high, I couldn't even fathom like getting a job. Like if somebody ever used the term a productive member of society, I would literally like scowl, mean mug them. Like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to pay my taxes.
Yeah.
Right. And keep in mind, like I have 2 children that I gave up for adoption when they were 10 years ago when they were young. Right. So I just remember thinking like, and in my madness, I remember like thinking about my kids, but it was always, oh, I'm missing out on, or, oh, I'm not able to do this for them, rather than like, they're doing great. You know, they're in a loving family. They're flourishing. Yeah. Right. So now I've gotten sober. I'm like talking to God, and it's like, now I'm starting to pray. Now I'm like really starting to pray. I'm not really meditating at this point, but I'm just like really starting to pray. And I remember like my prayers used to be like, and to answer your question from way earlier, yeah, I remember praying when I was getting high, but it was like, please let me hit the shot. Please let me find a vein. Please don't let somebody steal my stuff today.
Oh, so you was praying for all the wrong things.
It was so selfish, right? So when now that I'm sober, right, and back when I'm in a jail in Wisconsin, I remember praying for my kids. That was like, and I would cry. I remember I would cry, like snot coming out, and I would just pray for my kids. Please let them be in a nurturing environment. Please let them be in an environment that's supportive, that encourages them to grow, that like allows them to express their feelings. Like prayers like that, right? And like I'm big on the feelings with kids because like I truly believe that I started using drugs because I wasn't raised in an environment that nurtured my emotions, that encouraged me to identify what my emotions were. So when I had a complex emotion or I had a situation where I was just feeling and I was overwhelmed, I didn't know how to properly identify that. So that evolved into adulthood, right? So like instead of trying to figure out like why I'm feeling this way or like what even does ashamed mean, like I'm just gonna get high.
Yeah, so basically you getting high, it took away from your sense of reality and what was going on. Like, you know what, I'm about to go into my world because I don't want to deal with this responsibility, basically.
Yeah.
Like, you know what, this is too much for me, too much weight on my shoulders right now. I'm going to get lit every chance I could get to escape the madness that's going on right now. And a lot of people who go through recovery and addiction, they go through the same type of thing.
Oh yeah.
It's just same situations, kind of different stories a lot of times,
Yeah.
but it's all the same. They're trying to escape it, and then they like that escape from the reality or the pain, torment, the trauma, stuff they're going through, the demons that they're battling. They're trying to fight.
Yeah.
You know, but it's a life fight that they're actually going through, and a lot of people, they just accept the point of being down, and it takes that point of being at that rock bottom to be like, you know what? Some people don't make it. Some people do, to the point that they're like, you know what? I got to get out of this situation.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in this situation anymore.
Yeah.
I'm tired. And God give you some notice, like, hey, here's a letter.
Yeah.
Hey, slap you across the head. Hey, here you go. And hey, it's time to raise up and get up out of this situation. And then you have a choice that you got to make.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So the choice that you made was, you know what? It seems like, hey, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore. Like you said, I know I have a problem.
Yeah.
I know I have a problem. I know what I am now.
Yeah, and I think that's what it takes. Like a lot of times, like I said earlier, people are tired of their circumstances, right? But for me, and I talk to others too, and so it's not until you're tired with yourself that you're really going to change. Like I can be tired of my circumstances, but I'll just change those. Mm-hmm. I can be tired with like the activity I'm doing, but I'll just change that.
Yeah.
Right? But until I get to the point where I'm like, dude, I'm so like just tired of myself. Like it wasn't until I got to that point where like I'm now in Sherry's House of Hope. I've been clean for a few months, and I'm like really seeing like my own behaviors. Like I've probably written like 10 papers at this time, and like one of my peers was like, why do you keep doing this? Like why do you like writing papers? I was like, no, dude. She's like, but you keep writing papers. And like just the sum of like realizing where I was, like the circumstances, like I'm 29 years old in somebody else's house in somebody else's bed. I'm so tired of myself. Like, mm-hmm. And I just remember thinking like, at this point, a lot of my life I've had like this thought of like, I should be here or I should be there, right? Never okay with where I was. Always, like you said, always trying to escape, right? So at this point, I'm sober for a few months. I've written countless papers for this program. I'm starting to like really be interested in the Bible, really be interested in church, God. I'm like doing service work. I'm working my steps with my sponsor. I've completed the 4th and 5th step. I'm looking at my defects. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, like I'm 29 years old and this is how I'm living. Like I don't have a job. I have to call my sponsor to ask her about this because I think it's a good idea, but I can't even trust my own thinking. Yeah. And it was just like, I'm so sick and tired of like not doing anything. Yeah. Like I remember like, you know, in high school, I was a really good kid, really good grades, had a full ride scholarship for basketball, broke my ankle, lost it, whatever. And so I'm using drugs all these years and like, you know, as delusional as it is, like I think I'm living my best life. Mm-hmm. I'm around different people every day. I'm getting drugs. I'm getting money. I have respect. There's respect on my name. Like, so now I'm sober. It's like none of the dynamic of the last 10 years even matters. Mm-hmm. Like what I'm trying to obtain now, like I can't call them. They're not going to support me. Like I can't be like, hey, you want to go to a meeting with? They're not going to come. Mm-hmm. I can't be like, hey man, I'm struggling. I want to get high. They're going to be like, okay, I'll pull up and give you something. So it's like,
yeah, the Bible. I know. The Bible talks about two can't walk together unless they're in agreement. Yeah. You know, so if two people are walking together and they don't agree on something, eventually they're gonna break apart. Yeah. It's just gonna happen. Yeah. Because y'all got two different views mm-hmm. on life. You know, I believe in this, you believe in this. Well, we were friends before. I got this belief system. Now
Yeah.
my belief system changed. I want better for myself. If you
Yeah.
want to continue on this path, then that's on you. And then it usually breaks off in friendships and
Yeah.
relationships and things like that break apart. That's why it's so important to be equally yoked with people
Yeah.
inside of your life. You know what I'm saying? Friendships and who you put your spare time around, because those are the people when you're in life and you're trying to move forward and trying to do something positive and trying to grow, even if it's in business, you do it with people you know is on the same path that
Yeah.
you're on. So then you support each other. How can I go to you and be like, hey man, I got this question. You don't even care about what I'm
Right.
talking about. Your mind's way over here right now. You can't give me any type of good advice.
Yeah.
So people remember this. If you're growing, if you're doing anything you got your mind set to in life, make sure who you surround yourself by
Yeah.
is people who are on the same exact path that you're on. If you're going around hanging with anybody, then you're going to find yourself in a whole lot of trouble, because
Yeah.
a lot of people have a lot of different spirits and different things that they got attached to themselves, and then they will literally drag you into their mess and
Yeah.
into their madness. You might think okay, there's only so long a person to put on the facade, so it's only
Yeah.
so long a person to front until that truth comes out and like, I see who you are.
Yeah.
I see
So,
who
and
you are.
that's like a crucial thing I learned, because the thing that I learned when I first came into recovery was being equally yoked with people and just like aligning, learning to align my will with God's will, and then also being able to respect that for other people. Right? So, you know, that's why I'm so thankful for my sponsor, because even when I wasn't yet where I was going, she stood beside me. Even when I made mistakes, she was there for me.
So for people who might not know, can you explain to them actually what a sponsor is?
Okay. A sponsor, sorry, work.
No, you're
A
good.
sponsor is a person that has completed the 12 steps of AA or NA, or, you know, Celebrate Recovery. I don't really know all the other. Anyway, takes you through the steps, right? And then supports you. Okay, so like I'm now a sponsor. I have multiple sponsees. So I take my sponsees through the steps. They call me when they think they have great ideas, and we discuss that. And I'm also somebody that, like, a sponsor is also somebody that, like, you can always call for advice, right? If you're feeling triggered, if you're feeling like you're having cravings, you call your sponsor. Like, call your sponsor before you get high. Don't call your freaking sponsor after you get high. Call your sponsor before. A sponsor, literally for me, my sponsor is my lifeline. Like, when I'm struggling, if I'm struggling with work, if I'm struggling with, like, how to do something with one of my other sponsees, I call my sponsor. But that's not to say that your sponsor is your therapist. I'm not here to have you dump your garbage on me all day, every day. Like, that is not what I'm here for. My main goal and objective is to help another sick and suffering alcoholic find a new way to live.
And that's why it's important to make sure that in recovery, you find people or find a good program that helps you out when you're trying to get yourself right.
Yeah.
So then at the end of the day, you have your sponsor, you have somebody who's been where you're at,
Yeah.
and they have that wisdom, and they're on the right path, and that's the path you're trying to get to. And that's why another thing, shout out to the sponsor of this show, First Step Recovery.
Woo!
If you need any type of help with your addiction problem, any type of help, please contact us to call. They have a great program, and it's helped a lot of people actually change their lives and move forward in life about that. So how about you with you had experience with First Step Recovery. You're actually working with First Step Recovery right now.
I'm the peer support
Peer
supervisor.
support. So is there anything else you would like to say, basically how First Step might have helped you out, and just to wrap it up real quick about how First Step helped you out, and any last words you might want to say to the people?
Yeah, this is what I'd like to say. First Step deals with drug addiction, but we also deal with mental health. So, like, you don't have to be like a raging addict to come here and get help. Like, if you are seeking help, if you are trying to find a new way to live, if you're struggling, period, call us. Call Joseph, call Will, call us, and we will either A, get you in here, or we will give you resources to whoever you're needing help from. We are for the people, and we are the people, you know? I'm an addict, right? So I just want to say, like, if you're watching this, water the seed. Water the seed. If it's for yourself, if it's for your family, if it's for your mother, whoever, right? Just give it a call. I mean, the best thing I ever did for myself was give recovery a try. And I'm living the best life that I never would have imagined. If you would have asked me a couple of years ago what I want in life, I would have sold myself short. Like, the blessings are abundant. The blessings are abundant. The connections, the people, the experiences. It's not always going to be easy, but it's very simple. It's very simple. If you're willing, if you're needing help, go ahead and call us. And thank you for tuning in with us today.
Yep. And so your recovery's been great so far, and
Wonderful.
You're doing good right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some setbacks. Like, I've definitely made some mistakes that I had to learn from. But my best day getting high is nothing in comparison to my worst day sober. I have a wonderful family. I live in my own house with my boyfriend. We have our animals. I have a job that I actually pay taxes on. It's not illegal to do. Like I said, I sponsor women. I have a sponsor, and just the experiences that I've had in the last 6 months, dude. Like this past Christmas, like I went home. I saw my granny that I was talking about earlier. I saw her for the first time since I was 18. My papa, saw my dad, my adopted dad. I just went to Georgia a couple weeks ago to see my brother. Haven't seen him in 10 years.
Nice.
In September, we went to New Jersey to see my boyfriend's mom. He hasn't seen her in 10 years. Like, he's in recovery too. Just like the opportunities that have unfolded, like I literally wasn't even thinking of a couple years ago. Like, it wasn't even like in the foresight of my mind. It wasn't even an option. You know what I mean? And so just the things that like I've been blessed with. I mean, I've been blessed with. It's just
God is good.
God is good. Like, I don't even know how to express my gratitude.
God is good.
So good. We
Thank
love
you so
Jesus.
much. Thank you so much, Mariah, for coming in today, for showing face and joining the 12 at 12 podcast.
Happy to be here.
Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, share, like, comment below your thoughts of the show. And anybody who needs help, don't forget to contact First Step Recovery. The number should be up there. Put them up there. And that's it for the day. That's it for the show, 12 at 12 podcast. We'll see you tomorrow at 12.
That's right.
Have a great day.